Live from the First State, you are listening to the Financial Empowerment Show with the podcast king, Troy Bailey, and the finance queen, Awanda Hodge. The Financial Empowerment Show, creating new fiscal standards one home at a time. Give us a call now at 877-829-1099. That's 877-TAX-1099. And now, here's Troy and Awanda.
Welcome one, welcome all to another edition of the Financial Empowerment Show. I am your host, the podcast king, Troy Bailey, and to my right, the finance queen, Awanda Hodge.
Hello, everyone.
Listen, we want you to hit that subscribe button and subscribe to the Financial Empowerment Show so you can get the latest news and update and your weekly fix to help you control your cash flow, eliminate debt, build wealth, and to be empowered and to have hope for your financial future. Also, you can call us at 877-829-1099. And you can reach us at, what's that email they can reach us at, Awanda?
It's info@financialempowermentshow.com.
That's right. I'm Troy Bailey, your host once again, the podcast king. I am the senior tax advisor of Global Tax Services, doing accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll, and the whole 9 yards. And I'm going to let Awanda tell you what she does.
Paul, wait a minute. Why are we introducing ourselves again? Listen, you got to stick to the script. What are
That's
you
just the way
doing?
it rolled. You know what I mean? That's just the way it rolled. Okay.
You extending our show. You know we got a lot to talk about with credit.
I know we got a lot to talk about. All right. Keep it rolling, Paul. Put that bloopers in there. All right. She said we got a lot to talk about credit. We're going to get on with our show. All right. What's the title of our show, Awanda?
Credit, how can it build or destroy?
How can it build or destroy? Listen, get ready, y'all. We're going to have a financial smackdown on this show because I am a little dogmatic when it comes to credit.
Extremely dogmatic.
Not extremely.
Extremely dogmatic.
Okay, so
we're on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to this subject. So we told the people to email us in last night on last show on whose side they were going to be on.
Okay, alrighty.
So did you tally up your emails?
I didn't tally my emails yet, but
okay.
You know what? I think I won anyway, so I don't really have to. You know what I mean?
So we'll see after this show. We'll let you guys know after this show. Or you guys send us in your feedback.
Alrighty, who won the SmackDown?
And who you felt like won the SmackDown?
Okay, email me at troy@financialempowermentshow.com.
See, you don't even know your email address.
You could email Awanda at financialempowermentshow.com.
Right. So let's just get into it. So the history.
Alrighty.
You want to talk a little bit about the history of credit? I know you love history.
Yes, I do love history. I love history after I left history class in school. So it's very good. All right. The history of credit. All right. Small plastic cards containing a means of identification such as signature or picture that authorize the person's name to charge what? Goods and services for which the cardholder was billed periodically. That was done actually back in the late 1920s. You believe that?
I do.
And moving forward, the use of credit cards originated in the United States. That's right, like I said, during the 1920s. However, the first universal credit card that was used a variety of establishment was the Diners Club back in California in 1950.
Cool. So we know the history.
And entertainment and food. You actually bought credit on food. Isn't that amazing? You spent interest on buying food.
What's the big deal?
Oh, my God. Here we go. Why? Okay, so in 1950, let's say the average lamb chop dinner was $15. All righty? You paid on the credit. You paid interest on that lamb chop dinner.
You did. So when you go get your prime rib, you always pay cash? Come on, let it roll.
Okay. My Visa debit card. Now, see, my Visa debit card. So that way, I'm not paying interest. So after that good prime rib was done and I'm relaxing myself, guess what? Wow. I'm still paying for it 2-3 months down the road.
If you're paying your balance off at the end of the month, then what's the difference on if you pay it on credit or not?
Now we're talking into getting a strategy on how to do what? Use credit.
Don't try to jump on my side of the bridge now.
All right. So we got the history of credit. What is credit, Awanda? What is credit?
So I wouldn't. I guess you have a definition here.
I do. We actually have notes here at the Financial Empowerment Show.
So I'll appease Troy and give the technical definition, and then I'll give my interpretation of it.
Okay.
So it says, what is credit? Your credit history is a measure of your ability to repay debts and demonstrated responsibility in repaying them.
That's all credit is.
So I think that my interpretation of what credit is very similar to what this says. It's an extension.
Right. You're actually paying for something now.
Right.
Well, you're getting the goods or services before you actually pay them.
But it's based on your proven history.
Okay.
So it's not going to be extended to you if that creditor doesn't feel that your history can support it.
But what happened to our culture is this. We got so used to getting now and pay later that it become part of our fabric of what we do.
Right. Well, it's not free money, and I feel like a lot of people, that's what they think
Credit
it is.
is not free money.
It's not. It's not just, hey, you got $2,000 to just go and spend it at will.
That $2,000 has an APR. It got a monthly credit. And at night, you thinking you listen to crickets. Guess what you hearing? Your interest rate going up because it compounds every day.
It does. But I will say that I feel like credit is such a powerful tool. Because there was a time where you could just live purely off of cash. You know,
cash is still king.
You know, but there's certain things in this current climate or this current time that you can't even get without credit. You know, you can't purchase a home unless you're independently wealthy without credit. You can't. You know, a lot of people that need vehicles, they don't have $10,000 to $15,000 just sitting in the bank to go purchase.
Have a strategy.
But
Call a number.
But so then, what are you gonna do in that meantime? Especially if you live in a state like the first state where we live, where public transportation is not as readily available as would be in a big city.
Public transportation. Me, a retired public transportation worker.
And you know.
You just threw me right under the bus.
I did, because unless you live in the city of Wilmington, I don't know how good public transportation is going to be for you. But that's another question. Okay. That's another conversation.
That's another podcast in itself.
We're not talking about that.
Okay.
I'm saying to you that there's certain things that
require credit. Okay, so actually, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because think about this. Being responsible, when you be responsible with your finances, the byproduct of it is a good history where you can borrow money to buy things that you can't afford to pay cash for all at once.
I agree.
I believe this. The first thing is to be responsible.
I agree, but I will say to you that that starts with basically a parent teaching a child.
Right.
But once we've already gone out into the world, which I'm sure most of our viewers are adults already functioning in the world, and we've already made certain mistakes.
So they didn't have that tutelage before they
exactly. Then you don't have that foundation to go backwards. You have to work from where you are
and move forward. I have clients, Awanda, who literally are in debt and say, I have to build my credit so I can get more debt. I said, that is not a financial strategy.
But what are they? So you're putting the words that they're saying, build their credit to get more debt. But what are they trying to get? Because I do feel like there is good and bad debt. I feel like there is. So
I almost hate to agree with you, but that's like an oxymoron. You know what I mean? Debt is very powerful. Having the ability to borrow money is very powerful. And it can cut two ways. Would you agree? It's like a double-edged sword. It can cut two ways. If you don't have the responsibility over finances, and you do in the event someone lets you loan money to get goods and services, it can destroy you or it can build you.
I agree.
So that way, when you say credit is good or bad. It's still a knife that can still destroy. How you use that knife depends on the knowledge and education that you get, so you won't be able to cut yourself. Did that make sense? You understand that analogy?
I do understand your analogy, but let me just go back and clarify for our viewers.
Okay.
When I say good and bad, I mean debt. So there's certain debt that is not working towards your greater good.
Consumer debt is bad.
Nordstrom's, Macy's, if you're buying stuff at Best Buy.
Actually, the Diners Club, that was consumer debt.
Yes, this is bad debt because it's not to your benefit in any way.
It's not an asset.
It's not an asset. You're not purchasing something that is going to appreciate in value.
Where you can resell it and get a return on your investment.
Even a vehicle purchase. It's going to depreciate.
That is correct.
So when I say that there's good debt, I'm saying if you're getting a mortgage.
See, I had to pull it out for y'all. See how I had to pull it out of her?
If you're getting a mortgage, you're getting something that is an asset. You're getting something that eventually you're going to have equity in that is going to boost you. So I don't look at someone going to purchase a home as something negative, even though it is debt. It's debt. It's still, if you look at it, it's debt. But as long as you're living and breathing, you're going to be accumulating debt. You're going to still.
Here
you're
we
gonna,
go.
You are. You're going to. So
I believe that's a choice.
When you go to your mailbox every month, Troy, and you open your box, I'm sure you have a bill in there from Delmarva. I'm sure you have your
not debt. That's expenses.
Well, that's relative. That's how you look at it. But
that's
still
expensive.
Debt. It's still something that you have to pay on. It's still something that is going out.
Now, as a tax advisor, guess what? Those are different line items for that. And a debt is a different line item on a tax return.
So are you speaking
than expenses?
Are you speaking in regards to a business owner or a regular?
Actually, regular. Okay, so
citizen?
When you go to the website and hit that resource button and start your home budget, okay, we have what we call a debt compounding method.
Right.
How you can eliminate your debt. Now, debt is not an expense per se on a tax return. Debt actually is a choice. So what is an expense is your cable, your cell phone, the trash.
So you're saying your tax
you will
clients
have
can
those.
expense their electric bills?
Yeah, a lot of people share
Really?
title loan, debt, payday loan.
Okay,
debt.
guys.
I had a client who had 5 payday loans. 5 of them. Okay. He thanks me to this day, helping him get out of that situation.
And how did you help him get out of that situation?
I told him that every month when you get paid, every week, pay off one. Don't pay the minimum amount.
But
just pay off one.
So that's what I'm saying. But you have to also realize that what if a person is not in the position to do that? What if they still need their money to live? What if they still need their money to eat? Then what if you're going to choose between paying off the payday loan or eating for that week?
Okay, so that's a good question, all right? And I'm going to explain it to you. I believe this, that once you start your strategy, once you start your plan, there is a plan to get out what you have to get out. There's support system, there's support groups, there's other ways and means where you can get food and the whole 9 yards. So that hypothetical question, yeah, it's true. We can always say the what if, the what if, the what if. But I want to encourage the people to start. Because you're right. Because he didn't have enough to pay his food. He didn't have enough to pay his other bills. But he had other resources to take care of those. That makes sense? And everybody is not in the same situation.
Right, everybody's not in the same situation.
That.
Right,
and
that's why I feel like we're on opposing ends to this, because I don't feel like when it comes to credit or trying to dig out sometimes that it can be that dogmatic, because some people don't have those resources, or their paycheck might just not be long enough to pay off their payday loan.
I can tell a personal story. Now, let me ask you this, Mrs. Finance Queen. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
Have you been in credit card debt severe?
Sure. More than one time.
More than once. Okay, so
more than one time. I'm not someone who's exempt.
Okay.
And I think that's why I'm relatable, or when I work with people, I can give them more than one strategy.
Okay.
To get out of the situation.
That's a good example, because that's a good segue. Because I'm gonna tell you what happened to me personally. I was so written in debt that like you're saying, I didn't have enough money to take me over to the next week. I was distraught. So, excuse me. This was my strategy. I went to my father. I said, listen, I do taxes. I know money. I'm just so discombobulated. I need help and structure my finance. True story.
So did he help you?
In a week's time, he emailed me 3 plans. Alrighty? I took principles or bullet points from each plan. My plan was, I was in debt so severe that all I had to do was have to pay one creditor at a time. And I paid the least amount of creditor first, meaning, so I remember
That's a
to this day.
That's a strategy.
So I had a credit card, and it was a consumer credit card. I didn't really need it. It was $800, alrighty? So I paid that one first. All the other credit cards called me up and says, we need this, you gotta pay this, we're gonna keep calling you, it's gonna affect your credit score. My credit score's already rotten. I don't care. I can't pay the money. I'm paying this one first, and then 2 months later, I will pay you this. He says, well, can you pay $100? Nope, can't pay it. He said, well, can you pay $50? Nope, I can't pay it. He said, well, you can pay $25. Keep on talking, right? So he let me, while I was paying off the $800 credit, he let me pay $25 a month, right, on that other credit. And then once I finished the $800, I took that and do that. So that's how, now.
But that's a strategy.
That's a strategy. Now, each person's strategy is different, depending on what, their cash flow, how much debt they have. So that money that I couldn't pay the other debts, I had to use that for what? Food, clothes, and shelter, lights, heat, all that good stuff.
So that's why this conversation can go back and forth, you guys.
It can.
Because everyone's situation is different.
It's different.
And for me, I would say...
I do agree with that.
That, would you, as a parent, would you go and give a small child a drill? A power drill with no instructions, no anything, just let them go wander. No, you wouldn't, because you know that it's dangerous. It's the same thing with credit.
That is correct.
Like, you don't just, wake up and you're 18 and you have all of this knowledge and you're able to... Because
10 years prior, you was 8. So what did you do from 8 to 18?
No, so you have to groom your children in the way to know how to handle this powerful tool.
That is correct.
You have to, so that once they are young adults, they're not... hustling backwards. They're not trying to be an adult and fix this poor history that they've already managed to get. And as an adult, Troy just asked me, have I ever been in credit card debt? Of course.
How did you get out? Tell
of course.
Tell people your story.
Sacrifice.
Okay.
Sacrifice.
What'd you sacrifice?
I sacrificed a lot of things. Vacation.
Okay. Vacation, that's one.
Buying nice things that I love to buy, like shoes
Gucci
and bags and stuff.
All right. You already got 50 pair of shoes, but that's not a sacrifice.
That is a sacrifice. That is. But I will say, I feel like there are times in your life where they're predators. When you go off to college, they're in the colleges and they're offering these young people who they know have no jobs credit cards, and then they get the cards and then they charge them up. That was my situation.
Oh, okay.
I had credit cards and I was in college and I didn't have a job.
So you had that drill, didn't you?
I had that drill and I was just all over the place with you, right? But then, there comes a time where you have to clean this up. You gotta clean up. So, like you said, sacrifice. I sacrificed not going on vacation that year. I sacrificed when I got my income tax. There's no splurging. I got to pay this stuff off, that I've made. I think also a lot of people just get to the point where they just say, forget it.
Yeah,
like it's bad.
It's all gonna be them. You don't care. Yeah, no, don't be that person.
Don't be that person.
Don't be that person.
Again, just like we talked about in a previous show, this stuff is gonna come back to haunt you when you really want something. When you want to purchase a home.
Life's a cycle.
Yes, so it's gonna come back. So again, the strategy, get real with yourself, deal with these things. Don't just go out aimlessly using credit, but using credit can be, having the ability to use credit can be powerful. It can be. It gives you a lot of access to things. It does. But I will say, don't charge something if within 30 days that you can't pay it off. Don't charge it.
So, when in your situation, what did that teach you? Getting out of debt and using credit cards, so you realize that, hey, listen, I can't use credit card like this anymore. What did it teach you, and what habits did you create in order for not to repeat that?
So I'll say the first time around, I didn't know anything about credit, right? So once I was able to get out of that situation, it taught me, okay, this is how credit works. I might have charged something for $500, but I wound up paying $1,500 in the end for this thing. So it taught me the basics, which is something that I probably should have known before I even started charging things. But it taught me, hey, if I don't have the money to pay this, I'm going to wind up paying way more for this.
Correct.
Than, what I had.
Worth.
Right, than what it was even worth. And then what is even the value of this thing that I even charged?
A $500 Gucci bag. Really? But go ahead.
You're making this stuff up.
Okay.
Because Gucci bags cost way more than $500.
Okay. And you wouldn't know why?
But I'll say I learned how credit works. I learned how to manage credit. Now, maybe about 10 years later, I was in credit card debt again. Okay. But for different reasons. Okay. I will say maybe because
it wasn't because of the same habits.
It wasn't because of the same habits. It was because emergencies came up and I was leveraging maybe my credit where I should have had an emergency fund in place. Right. So different reasons, but still the same lack of strategy. And then again, I have to go back and clean this up because this is something that I used my credit for this, maybe emergency to fix my car or, to have to go out of town last minute for something, an emergency, or my children might have needed something, These are situations that you don't want to find yourself in because it's a snowball. Once it starts, and then once you get to the point where you're only able to keep up the minimum payments, you're going to be paying it forever. You're going to be paying. And this is where it gets into the point where Troy is talking about where it can destroy you. It can destroy you because you're in over your head. Correct. You're in over your head. But it can be.
And it's fast and easy.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
All you need is to have unemployment or to get hurt and you're disabled and you're unable to keep up your payments and life happens.
Listen,
you can't stop that from happening.
This how it destroys you. You can't get a checking account. If you lose your place, you can't get an apartment. You see what I'm saying? Yep. If you need a vehicle, you have to pay cash for your vehicle, which you should do anyway. But if you can't save, you see what I'm saying? So all these things trigger because it could be, I'm not saying this to everyone, but it could be lack of responsibility, lack of knowledge, a whole other host of things. We just can't target one thing why people are in this situation. But however, this show can empower you with our personal experiences, with our resources, that it can help you come out of debt. It can help you maintain a budget. It can help you to start building wealth so you can start thinking differently. The good ways that having that power of credit, because it comes from what? Responsibility. It does. I pay my bills on time. And it comes from where people can see, all right, hey, you earn $20,000 a year, you earn $30,000 a year, but you have no debt, you're in good situation. So that's where it comes from, having the responsibility to use money wisely.
Right. And Troy, when I think a lot of people don't realize when you have poor credit also, you wind up spending more money.
That's correct.
For everyday expenses. Like I believe they check your credit for like car insurance.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they
so
do.
you might be paying a higher rate just because you have poor credit.
That is correct.
You might be trying to get an apartment or whatever and they're denying you, or you might have to pay more, security and things like that when you go to get your electric. If you have poor credit, they're going to charge you more. If you go to get a cell phone, if you have poor credit, they're going to charge you security. Like, you're paying more.
That is correct. The cell phone. I didn't realize that when I got a cell phone for the businesses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they look at that.
Yeah, they say, well, you can't buy this. You got to. They tell you what to buy because based on your credit.
See?
Unbelievable. That is correct. Now, what are the ways credit can help you? I believe this, that especially if you're an entrepreneur.
Oh, yeah.
All right, because now you're leveraging that credit by now to create an asset so it can do what? Earn money.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's the good way, and I believe that's how that great book I read, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, he leverages his debt on real estate to do what? Buy more real estate. Because the debt that he has on this real estate is earning what? Rent to pay that. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's one way as an entrepreneur that debt can be your friend. And you know how to use that drill. That's a good analogy.
It is.
Because a drill you can destroy or you can build.
Exactly. I like to use that analogy.
Okay.
And I know you don't
I say knife, but
I know you don't agree with I always like to take things back to like young people because I feel like they're the new generation, and this is where a lot of us have fallen, have fallen off because we didn't have the proper training.
Correct.
So I know you don't agree, but this is just something that I advise. If you have good credit as a parent and you have a young adult, teach them. Don't send them out into the world with the drill.
Don't send them out.
Don't send them out in the world with the drill, but teach them. But me personally, I added my sons as authorized users on my credit card so that they can start building history at a younger age.
So wait. Back up. You had the drill, but you held his hand.
Mm-hmm. So I set limits.
Okay. So they could buy what they wanted to?
No, as I said, I set limits.
Okay. So what was the limits? Give me an example.
So to start, maybe $200.
Okay.
And I would say to them, don't charge over $100.
Okay.
Your limit is $200, but don't charge over $100, and you need to pay it off. Whatever you charge,
pay it off
in this month, you need to change it. Right. So we're starting off building a habit.
Okay.
We're starting off building a habit, but
that's a strategy.
Right. It's definitely a strategy because you're learning how to manage your credit and you're building credit history. Then as they do well with it, I will extend the limits.
You was like the bank.
Listen, it has to start somewhere.
Mama bank.
It has to start somewhere. And I don't want my children to have to, or they're not children anymore. They're all, young adults. But I don't want them to have to start out at 25 trying to just start building history. I'm praying hopefully that they will be becoming homeowners, at 25, or, starting their businesses at 25, and being able to move forward. So I want to give them the foundation, and I encourage parents, give your children a foundation, but don't just send them out there blindly. Don't just give them, unlimited access to just make poor financial decisions.
That is correct.
So definitely keep a watchful eye, talk, teach, but let them leverage you. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. There's something that I learned from working in corporate all these years is that people that are millionaires that have money, their children are leveraging them. Their children are not going directly to the bank to get these things that they're acquiring.
They're to their parents.
They're leveraging their parents. They're leveraging their parents to get a foundation, and then they're working from that foundation.
Okay.
So I do think we can be a foundation for our children, especially when it comes to something as simple as credit or complex as credit. You can look at it either way, but definitely use it as a foundation to teach.
Wonderful. That sounds like you did a wonderful job with them boys.
I try. I'm still working on them.
Okay. it's a never ending.
Yes, it's a process.
Okay, it is. And you know what? And I believe this, especially in finances, they got to skin them knees a little bit.
Mm-hmm. There's no way to avoid it.
No, it's not.
No way to avoid it.
It's not.
It's no way to avoid it.
We skin our knees. They have to skin their knees because guess what? The best way to learn is the repetitiveness. You have to go through that experience.
But the thing is, after that, you have the knowledge.
That is correct.
You have the knowledge. You know how this works.
Right.
Because the worst thing is not knowing.
And if you use that drill, and use your hand with all that experience, guess what? Nobody fault but your own.
Yeah,
that's what my dad says.
So what's our quote this week?
Our quote this week. What's our quote this week? We have what's it? Oh, here it is. It's a good quote. This is my ultimate fantasy. Watching QVC with a credit card while making love and eating the same time.
What?
Wow.
Who is this person?
I hope it's not Katrina Bailey.
QVC. Oh, wow. I love QVC.
You love QVC?
I do.
Okay. Do you buy anything off of QVC?
I don't watch it too long because they're very persuasive. I have bought stuff off QVC before.
We got another quote here.
Who was that quote?
Oh, that was Yasmin Bleeth. She's an actress.
Oh, wow.
You know what she played on?
No.
I didn't ever watch her, baby, but she was on Baywatch, and I never saw it. All right, I never saw it, but I just knew she was on Baywatch.
Okay.
Who's the next quote? What's the next quote?
Oh, it says bad debt is debt that makes you poor.
Okay.
I count the mortgage on my home as bad debt. Mm-hmm. Why you have me reading this quote? I don't agree with this.
Okay, listen. Go ahead.
Because I'm the one paying it. Other forms of bad debt are card payments, credit card balances, and other consumer loans. Robert Kiyosaki.
That's right. Rich dad, poor dad. The reason why he said that is this, Awanda. You got to listen to it. If you have a rental property, you are a real estate investor. Am I correct?
Yes.
All right. Who pays for your house?
My tenant.
That is correct. That's all he's saying.
I guess.
That's all he's saying. So, if you have now,
but you have to live somewhere.
Now, technically, though, I can't
live where my tenant lives, so you have to live somewhere.
But technically, think about it this way. If he gets paid for his business, technically, he's not paying for it. His business is. We have a job, right? If you have a job, right, your job, you work on your job to earn money.
Right.
If that job wasn't there, you wouldn't earn money to pay your bills. All righty? Mm-hmm. So he's looking at, if he has a business, he has a real estate empire. He gets paid for that real estate empire. I'm not mad because I have to pay my mortgage based on the salary that I create for myself because of my real estate empire. You see what I'm saying? So I can understand how you might disagree with it.
Yeah, I don't really.
All right. But I understand on the other end is that when you have an asset, he's saying let someone else pay for it. That's all he's saying.
Okay, we can agree to disagree on that.
Okay. Robert Kiyosaki still wrote a great book.
So this was a great show.
It was a great show.
I think we kind of got deep into some credit. Guys, email us your feedback if you have more questions off the back of this conversation. We'd love to, hear from you, talk one-on-one, meet one-on-one, come up with a strategy.
That's
always
right.
strategy.
Learn how to use that drill.
Yes, definitely.
You can drill your hand, or you can drill your hand to put that wall up.
Yes.
All righty. Listen, there's our music. Paul's cueing us. Listen, hit that subscribe button to the Financial Empowerment Show. Call us at 877-829-1099 and go to our website so you can start your budget today. We thank you for tuning in once again, and we'll see you next time on the Financial Empowerment Show.
That wraps up this segment of the Financial Empowerment Show. Until next time, send us your questions to info@financialempowermentshow.com. Whether you earn $13,000 a year or $130,000 a year, let Troy and Awanda help you grow your money tree.